Welcome students. Today's lesson is on two-step equations. By the time you're done watching this video, you should be able to solve two-step equations. In order to solve two-step equations, you have to know what inverse operations are. The inverse operation is the operation that will reverse the original operation. Operations in math would be addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. An example of inverse operations would be if I add 3, the operation that would cancel that or reverse it would be subtracting 3. If I multiply by 3, the opposite operation or the inverse operation that would reverse this would be dividing by 3. Let's start with an example. Solve and check your solution when you're done. I'm always going to start, and I'm going to divide mine down by the equal sign. So 3x plus 5 equals 20. Now I need to look for what I can undo first. Oftentimes when I'm solving equations, I'm really just doing reverse PEMDAS. So I look for what impacts my x the least. As of right now, I can see that that would be my 5. Since I added 5, I need to subtract 5 from both sides to get that to cancel. This will give me 3x on one side and 15 on the other. Then again, I'll ask myself, what is happening to x? It's being multiplied by 3. I know that the inverse operation, or the opposite operation, would be to divide by 3. So I'll do that on both sides. On the left side, that would cancel, and I would get x equal to 5. Now I just want to double check and make sure I was correct. So I'll take my original and I'll plug it back in. 3 times 5 plus 5. 3 times 5 gives me 15 plus 5, and 15 plus 5 will simplify to give me 20. If I check, it was supposed to be original to 20 in the first place. Since 20 equals 20, I know that I have the right answer, and I'll stick with x equals 5. I want you to pause the video and try this next one on your own. Again, I would start by separating my equation down the equal sign. Then I'll look at who's impacting x the least. As of right now, it's the 4. If I see this as a positive 4, I know that I can cancel that by subtracting 4. I'm always trying to figure out what will reduce that down to 0. 4 minus 4 will go away. 2x can come down, and negative 12 minus 4 will give me negative 16. Then if I look at how I can get x alone, he's currently being multiplied by 2, so I will have to divide both sides by 2. Then I got x alone, and I figured out he was equal to negative 8. My next step is just to check my equation and make sure I did it correct. To do that, I have to plug it back in. So I'll plug in 4 plus 2 times negative 8, and it should equal negative 12 if I did this correct. To evaluate, I'll take care of my multiplication first. 2 times negative 8 will give me negative 16. 4 minus 16 will give me negative 12, and I figure out negative 12 equals negative 12, which is true, so I checked it, and my solution, x equals negative 8, was correct. Note that these ones can be a little tricky because I have my constant on the left. So just be careful and pay attention to what your sign is. Since that was just 4, really it's a positive 4. I want you to pause the video and try this next example on your own. Again, our first step should be subtracting 10 from both sides. Now I'll have negative 5x on the left is equal to negative 40. I can divide both sides by negative 5. And x will be equal to positive 8 because it was a negative divided by a negative. Now, just like before, I need to go back, plug it in, and double check to make sure I did it correct. Negative 5 times 8 plus 10 should equal negative 30 if I did things correctly. Negative 5 times 8 will give me negative 40 plus 10 equals negative 30, which means negative 30 equals negative 30. And I checked it, and I know that x equals 8 was the correct solution. This next example, notice that my variable is now sitting on top of a fraction. Again, I'm going to start by taking care of anything that's easy to get rid of. So I see that this 3 is sitting by itself, so I'll subtract it away from both sides. That will give me y over 5 equals 9. Now, to solve for y is currently being divided by 5. The opposite operation would be multiplying, so I'll multiply both sides by 5. When I do this, I will figure out that y is equal to 45. Now I should be able to plug it back in and double check. So 45 divided by 5 plus 3 should give me 12. 45 divided by 5 is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12, and 12 equals 12, so I checked it, and I'm correct. I want you to pause the video and try this next example on your own. You should have gotten x equals 32. If you plug that in, 32 divided by 4 plus 2 should give you 10. 32 divided by 4 would give us 8 plus 2, and 8 plus 2 will give us 10, and since 10 equals 10, I know I had the correct solution. X was equal to 32. On this next example, again, notice that my variable is located on the inside of that equation. Still, I want to get rid of my negative 6 first, so I'll add 6 to both sides to get that to cancel. Then I have negative x over 2 is equal to negative 1. To get x by itself, I want to multiply, since it's currently being divided. Since this was negative, I want to make sure that I multiply by a negative, and I need to do the opposite, so by 2. So this side will get multiplied by negative 2 as well. When I simplify this out, the 2's will cancel, and I will be left with x equals 2. Now I just want to plug it back in and double check to make sure I was right. Negative 6 minus 2 over 2 should equal negative 7. Negative 6 and negative 2 divided by 2 will give me just 1 equals negative 7. So negative 6 minus 1 is negative 7, and negative 7 equals negative 7. So I checked it, and x equals 2 was the correct solution. On this next one, notice that my x is sitting on top of the fraction. If I think about who's having the biggest impact right now, it is the 2 on the bottom, so I want to get rid of that first. I am going to multiply both sides by 2. That will cancel my fraction and bring me just x plus 4 on the left equal to 18 on the right. Then, just like I did with those 1 steps, I'll subtract off my constant, so minus 4, which will give me x equals 14. Again, I want to make sure that I'm plugging it in to double check my work. So 14 plus 4 over 2 should give me 9. 14 plus 4 will give me 18 over 2, and 18 divided by 2 is equal to 9, so 9 equals 9, and I know I had the correct answer. I want you to pause the video and try this one on your own. Our first step was to multiply negative 5 to get that fraction to go away. Then that would give me y plus 6 equals 20. I would subtract 6 off from both sides and get y equals 14. Then, of course, I would plug it back in and double check my answer and guarantee that 14 was the correct solution. Let's try this next one together. My first step, since I see that 3 is on the bottom and he's impacting everyone, I want to make him go away. So I'll multiply both sides by 3, which is the opposite of dividing. That will give me 2 plus x equals 6. Then I want to get x alone. I see that currently x is adding to 2. 2 is positive. I know that I need to subtract 2 to get it to go away. So x will be equal to 4. Again, I'm going to plug it back in to double check and make sure I was right. So 2 plus 4 over 3 should be equal to 2. 4 plus 2 will give me 6 over 3 equals 2, and 6 over 3 is just 2. That guarantees 2 equals 2, and I know that I found the correct solution. Thanks for watching.